wrap up our coverage of the 147th General Assembly with State of Play. Here with me are Stephanie Hansen, former Newcastle County Council President, now with the law firm of Young, Conaway, Stargett and Taylor. Also here is Michael Stafford. He is an attorney and syndicated columnist who has been featured on MSNBC. There's a lot of directions where we could take this, but let's start with the surprises. Do you think the governor could have lobbied harder for clean water or road repairs, or is this the way business is done here? Float an idea one year and it's taken up the next.
Well, I think he certainly could have lobbied harder for it, particularly with the clean water side of the bill. I mean, he launches a major initiative. It's in the press. But then there's not that sustained effort. You know, the governor's office really gives you a pulpit. You have the ability to focus attention on a particular issue that, legislators and other public officials don't have. He focuses on it, but it's not sustained attention. Then he moves on to something else. The issue kind of disappears. You know, looking on Google, there hasn't been anything written about this initiative in months here in Delaware. So rather than going out and trying to build constituencies, meeting with local groups and saying, hey, this is what it's going to mean for you, he floats the idea, and then it almost seems like it disappears. There's a real lack of sustained effort with it.
I think also the exit of the current DENREC secretary probably took over a lot of the attention as well. I mean, as much as you'd like to think it was kind of a continuation, I think that became the story, the kind of natural resources story afterwards. But you know, that being said, yeah, when you have big major initiatives like this, they do tend to go introduce it, kind of throw it out there, get people talking about it one year, bring it back the next year during the next session and really start to work it that way. So, and it just didn't rain enough in June. If it had rained more in June and there was flooding and there was the issues with stormwater management that we normally see, you probably would have seen more discussion about it.
If only there was a major infrastructural problem that had everybody focused on the conditions of the roads. Oh wait, there is.
That's right.
But I mean, is that going to translate into, you know, a gas tax? I still am pretty skeptical about that.
Well, I think so. Plus the Fed stepped in and are helping us out quite a bit. So we kind of dodged that bullet at least for now. And we were able to raise the tolls on Route 1, you know.
You agree with
so
that?
Yeah. So that's going up from $2 to $3, I think, on the weekends, which, you know, ostensibly is really supposed to translate over into taking the money out of the pockets of people that don't live in Delaware who are going to be going back and forth over the bridge because everybody else can take the little exit off of Route 1 and get. I do that.
Correct.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I never pay the toll. We both live down in Middletown, so we're frequent drivers down there. But I mean, there are a lot of Delawareans who are traveling back and forth between Dover and points south.
Well,
and
at least
it's going to impact
Jersey.
them as well.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
At least it's not. Is that the standard we judge ourselves by?
I hate to say it, but yes. So downtown development passed, but no luck with same-day voter registration. Does that say anything about our legislators here, do you think?
Well, downtown development passed because it was discussed early. And it was discussed early and it was passed early. I mean, this was something that was passed back in mid-May or so. And it really sort of was able to follow on the heels of brownfields redevelopment and whatnot, because everybody recognizes that brownfields, you know, for every, I think the quote is now, for every $1 of state investments, you get $17.50 back in increased revenue and resources because of it. So that's, if you can find a way to take your bill and make it sort of like a brownfields redevelopment bill, then it'll pass. And I think that the downtown development issue was able to kind of glom onto that a bit, and it was done early. With the voter registration, that was late in the game, and it didn't have a real vocal constituency. It had some, but not a real vocal one. And anytime you're talking about something that has to do with impacting an election, you can't do it late in the season, and you got to make sure that it's really been worked out and it's plain vanilla by the time it gets on the docket. And this didn't fit the bill.
It didn't have a vocal constituency, but it did have a set opposition. I mean, we know that the Republican Party generally, you know, nationally, has been moving in the direction of restricting voting rights and voting access. And so, you know, a bill that was going to, you know, potentially open that up further here in Delaware, it had a guaranteed opposition. And as you said, the supporters just didn't, there wasn't enough there to get it over the hump.
Well, marijuana, do you think Delaware will decriminalize marijuana in the next 2 years?
Probably. I think they probably will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This issue implicates
Sensitive,
all
yeah.
sorts of questions about the war on drugs, the policy behind, a criminal justice approach to substance abuse issues. I think we can all agree that the war on drugs, there's a shared consensus, let me put it that way, that the war on drugs hasn't been a success. That maybe we need to move away from a criminal justice approach to more of a therapeutic approach to some of the addiction problems that plague our society. But whether that means legalizing marijuana, I'm a big believer that the law can be a teacher. It is a teacher, and that simple message of it's illegal, don't do it. I think we could deal with some of the issues about incarcerating people for personal use, stigmatizing people with a criminal record that then follows them throughout life. I think we can address that and adopt a more therapeutic approach to treatment while still keeping it illegal in the state.
And do you agree?
Well, I mean, I think there's a difference between decriminalizing it and making it legal. I think decriminalizing it, I mean, you switch it from being a criminal offense that then shows up on your record when you try to go for a job interview or something.
Okay,
Yeah. Young kids have that all the time, to something it's still illegal, but it's not criminal. It's a civil penalty. I think that's probably going to happen.
Do you think would Matt Dinn actually campaign for it?
Only if he's high. No, I don't think that it's something that Matt has any need to or desire to. He's politically smart enough not to do that.
If you think about attorney general's races, attorney general, when you're running for attorney general, you want to appear tough on crime. So if I was Matt, I would stay back. I would let other people take the lead on this particular one. Why open yourself up to another avenue of attack that doesn't need to be out there? So I don't think he's going to be in the driver's seat on this.
Well, unlike the legislature, we can't stop the clock, so our time has run out. Thanks so much for being a part of State of Play. Stephanie Hansen, Michael Stafford. You can watch this segment when you click the drop-down box in the upper right-hand side of newsworks.org/Delaware.